Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time I want to take a look at this book, Thor, the Mighty Thor, number 317 from 1982, Marvel Comics. And this one is titled Chaos at Canaveral. It was written by Doug Moench with art, pencils anyway, by Keith Pollard. It says breakdown, so I don't think he did complete tight finished pencils. And there were several inkers working on this particular issue. And Keith Pollard was born in 1950. He's an American comic book artist from Detroit, best known for his work on Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and Thor for Marvel. He debuted in 1974 with work on Master of Kung Fu. And then he did some Astonishing Tales, and he worked on Black Goliath. He drew covers for the UK editions of Marvel titles, and he had a several-year run on Amazing Spider-Man from 78 to 80. And he introduced the Black Cat and Felicia Hardy in number 198, 194. He worked simultaneously on Fantastic Four. Spider-Man and Fantastic Four at the same time. Then he had a long run on Thor. In 82, he moved to DC, and he and Marv Wolfman introduced the Vigilante. That was the modern version of the Vigilante, as opposed to the Western version of Vigilante. That was a good one. I followed that one for quite a while. In 87, he returned to Marvel and again to the Fantastic Four. And he did some Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Silver Surfer. And in 96, he left the comics industry. And that's as much as I found about him. But he did a lot of stuff, and he's some very good. In here, you can see some strong John Buscema influences here and there. Some of, especially in his faces. And this, as you can see, this cover. This is a very rough reading copy. You know, somebody went at it with a marker and wrote 30 on there on the cover. But it is a very thrilling, eye-catching cover. Very, very dramatic, with Thor clinging to the skin of a rocket being launched into space. Woo! Yeah. Probably not much more thrilling than that, yeah. So let's go take a look inside. And here you see that cover. And it says they're featuring the menace of the Man-Beast. And there is an extra uncredited cameo by another character in here besides Iron Man. Iron Man's in here, but one that actually plays part in the story. And start off right here. Chaos at Canaveral. Whoops. You can see this nice splash page. Since there's not much action going on, it's very, very dramatic, and a nice establishing shot. You know, showing the full figure of both Thor and Iron Man, but it also works as a nice establishing shot. You can clearly tell, besides the title, that this is at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral in Florida. You can see here this very nice rendition of the of a Saturn V rocket, which is not what would have been used for the events in the story, but it's still a lovely rocket and a nice rendition of the rocket. Here you can see that this isn't actually the gantry. This is the mover, crawler. I can't remember the name of it. This is one from right over here. You see the vehicle assembly building, and that's where the rocket is assembled and is put on this crawler. And then very slowly, over 2 or 3 days, it trundles the rocket out to the launch pad. And I think he did, as I said, a nice rendition. I really like Saturn V rocket. I think it's the most beautiful rocket I've ever seen. And I know some people might say, oh, why would you think a rocket is particularly beautiful? It's just something that's nice lines, just general aesthetics, and have a little bit of affinity for rockets, just like the V2 German V2 rocket, which did horrible devastation in England in World War II, but it's the first kind of rocket of its type, and it had very nice lines, and it's very aesthetically pleasing as a design. Same thing can go for the Saturn V rocket, because I used to work with the Poseidon C3 and the Trident D4 missiles way back when, and so, you know, I just have kind of an aesthetic for rockets. Enough of that. Here you see, yeah, it was we're talking there, and Iron Man is going to arranging with a pass for Donald Blake. This is when Thor still had the dual identity of Donald Blake and Thor, and for him to get a tour, have this young lady who is an astronaut candidate. What was her name? And Diane. I've forgotten her name. Diane something or other, and she is going to be taking Donald Blake on a tour of the Space Center. I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. A long time ago. It's a neat place. Okay, and he's meeting her, and she's starting on the tour. Then our scenes changes to somewhere not too far away in the swamps of the Everglades, because the Kennedy Space Center is right smack in the middle of the swamps of the Everglades in Florida. And this is tying back to previous issue storyline, and the man beast was trying to get here, and it was the ship he was on was taken down, and Man Thing, our guest appearance here of Man Thing, was on board with him. And Man Thing has not much real intelligence, just kind of goes on instinct, very empathic, and he senses hate brewing from this unconscious being. and an urge to go somewhere. So he takes the actually saves him from dying in the swamp from in the wreckage of the ship, and drags him along unconsciously. Ooh! Until they get to the edge of the space center, the fenced area, and then he just drops him, leaves him there, and he wanders off. Meanwhile, we're getting the tour here, then back to the man-beast as he becomes conscious, and of course he attributes getting to this location as himself he did it himself on his own. And anyway, so he goes to the gate and just waltzes right in, takes out the guards with his hate ray, and guards begin fighting. And there's more with Don Blake and Diane, but here you get to see some really nice work on the backgrounds, nice and consistent, and nice realistic details while they are eating, and then they're going to go watch the launch, and then stuff starts happening. The launch is only like 15 minutes away. Sorry, Don, I got to go check this out, and leaves him there, and she gets in a little buggy and heads off. So Don Blake finds a spot, turns into Thor, and goes to check it out. And he goes to the edge of the Everglades and meets the Man-Thing. And the Man-Thing kind of trusts him because those who know fear burn at the touch of Man-Thing, and he has no fear of Man-Thing. So Man-Thing trusts him. Meanwhile, Man-Beast is causing havoc and zapping people with his hate ray, so they're fighting. Then here we get his background, and I like right here because this panel here, and a lot of on that panel here is very close direct swipes of Gil Kane art from early issue featuring Adam Warlock when he was given the background on the High Evolutionary, and the High Evolutionary creator Counter-Earth and is the creator of Man-Beast, and Man-Beast has great hatred for the High Evolutionary, and he wants to get on this rocket. Here, how he's developed and stuff and facing Spider-Man and other things over the years. And meanwhile, Thor is being led by Man-Thing to the problem. And meanwhile, Diane has been following the wreckage. I don't know what prompted her to put on a spacesuit other than seemed to have a little more protection. But there it goes up to the gantry. She sees the Man-Thing is climbing the gantry from the outside. She has on the spacesuit, and she takes the elevator up to the top of the rocket. Again, this is a Saturn V rocket, and there we see that would be an Apollo spacecraft in the drawing, but it's just supposed to be launching a satellite, not the Apollo. But that's okay. It just looks good, because they would not be using a Saturn V rocket just to launch a satellite. So here, and nice rendition of the gantry. All the background details is very lovely, and you can see many of the faces. I'll show again when we get some more. Look like they have a strong John Buscema influence in them. You see some in that one. So she's trying to stop Man-Beast because she thinks he's just trying to somehow sabotage the launch. Well, Man-Beast doesn't care about the launch, about the satellite. He wants to get on the rocket and commandeer it to get to Counter-Earth. He does not know that Counter-Earth at this time has been moved out of its orbit on the other side of the sun, and High Evolutionary has transported it to some other location. So, while she's trying to stop him, she's about to bite the big one, and then wham! Thor gets there, and then we get into the great action scenes, kind of long-winded, good stuff. Smash, 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 fight, fight, fight. Trying to stop the man-beast, but he gets inside the spacecraft, which would not have a cabin like that. That's when the Lady Diane is still in there. And in the process, Thor's hammer is knocked from his grip, falls inside. Man-beast gets in and locks the door. And there is this really nice drawing, which is from still photographs of an actual launch of the Saturn V rocket, because I recognize the bells on the exhaust nozzles. They had a lot of footage and photographs from those events over the years. And, well, so the rocket is being launched. Bum, bum, bum. Thor is without his hammer, and he leaps onto the skin. You see this nice image of the launch, and having the countdown. We had previously having a countdown to the 60 seconds before he transforms back into Donald Blake, and this would be his demise, or Donald Blake's demise, if he turned back into Blake while the rocket is in flight, and with him clinging to the side. Diane he gets up there high, and Diane, he wants to use Thor's hammer, and he can't lift it. But Diane, right just at the last second, she tries a trick from Alien and tries to open the hatch and have him sucked out. Well, she gets sucked too, and her lifeline parts, and she is sucked into space, while Man-Beast manages to catch to the edge and remains clinging to the skin of the rocket. Well, he and Thor fight, and Diane is floating away. Fight, fight, fight. He starts ripping the skin off to use as a weapon, and they're still fighting. Another good one is almost like a Gil Kane drawing there. And he's lost his grip, and he is floating away in space. He uses his hammer to recover Diane, who was also floating in space, and then together they fly back to the Kennedy Space Center. And somehow, with all that stuff going on, the satellite is successfully put into orbit. And the lady is congratulated. Her position as an astronaut is assured, because she was on the verge of being cut from budget cuts. She and some other prospective astronauts. And now her place is assured. Everything is safe again, and Man-Thing, unaware of anything, lumbers back into the swamp. And here you can see very strong John Buscema influence in the faces there. And I think he did Pollard and Company, considering it's kind of a collage of creators, did a real good job. Some really good action scenes, some nice visually interesting still scenes that would have just been talking heads, and some nice backgrounds. All around a nice job. I really enjoyed reading this story and enjoyed the artwork. So that's what I've got this for you this time with Thor number 317. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Come on, leave those comments. I know it's in rough shape. Tell me what you think of Keith Pollard's art or Doug Moench's story. Not just here, but anywhere else as well. And what do you think of using the Saturn V rocket to launch a satellite? Any silly stuff like that. And thanks again. And remember, comics are art.